is also known as the Lion of the Senate, senior position representing our area. He's the chairman of the Rules Committee. He's over appropriations, community affairs, gaming, judiciary, and regulated industries. He was elected to the Senate in 2009 and re-elected subsequently. Before that, he was in the House of Representatives from 1992 to 2000. And during that time, he was Speaker of the House. He's an attorney. He actually worked early in his career at Cobb Cole here locally. He's a FSU grad from the College of Law. And what a lot of folks don't know about Senator Thrasher is his military service, very distinguished military service. He was in the U.S. Army from 1966 to 1970. He served in Germany and Vietnam. He was a captain. He received the Bronze Star, the Army Commendation Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, and a Vietnam Campaign Medal. He's married to Jean, and they have 3 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. So please welcome Senator John Thrasher.
She got taken away with me being a senior. I mean, old. I really have 3 children and 8 grandchildren. I don't have any great-grandchildren. I'll admit to the fact that I'm pretty old. Yeah. It's a joy to be with you this morning, and thank you very much. It's a joy to be with our delegation. I'm not going to talk a lot about it, because you know when you're next to the last, and you have the great orator, Senator David Simmons to clean up. You know that everything is going to be covered. I will tell you this, that to echo Senator Hugel, you have a wonderful delegation. Your 2 new members of the House did an outstanding job. I observed them several times, and both working with them on legislation and trying to move some other legislation that we had in the Senate down there. But they're doing a good job. The senior member of the House delegation obviously has Daytona's back and does a great job for the community and for the delegation. And I know is really involved in a lot of things for Bethune-Cookman, which is very, very important to this area. Senator Hugel is actually did a great job on the manufacturing equipment tax exemption. That was one of the governor's priorities. And you think things like that are going to be simple and easy to do. When the governor says, I'd like to get an exemption for manufacturing equipment sales tax, sounds like it's pretty easy to do. It's not. And it was due to Dorothy's good work and hard work that I think ultimately made that possible. My good friend David Simmons, I'll tell you this, there's no person I would say in the legislature that is more thorough and understands in complex, detailed issues than David Simmons. And whenever our Senate President has an issue that he knows that probably nobody else would tackle or take on, he calls on David Simmons. And he did this year to deal with the citizens issue, the citizens insurance, property insurance issue, which again is complex, has many ramifications for our citizens in the state of Florida, who have citizens or don't have citizens. Either way, you have potential ramifications if we have incredible storms. David did a great job in passing a piece of legislation that will go a long way to stabilizing citizens and bringing some of the population down and creating a better market in the private sector. And each and every one of us who are taxpayers, homeowners, whatever, owe a debt of gratitude to David for this great legislation. I appreciate it, David, all the hard work you did on that. The governor had another priority, and that's been mentioned, and that was education. Every single teacher this year in the state of Florida, I believe, who is an effective or highly effective teacher will get a substantial increase in their compensation, and well deserved. Our teachers, when you link education to job creation, those are the 2 things that go hand in hand, and those are the things that we spent a lot of time on this legislative session, and I'm proud that we're going to be able to do that. I think it's the first time, obviously, the economy of the state of Florida is coming back. We had some extra money this year that we haven't had in the past. We'll see how it goes on Monday when the governor, I believe without saying it. I believe the governor will sign the budget Monday, and we'll know exactly where we stand in terms of vetoes and things like that. There will be vetoes. There's no question about it. When every time you have extra money, you tend to, spend it to some extent. The good news this year is we will, after this session of the legislature, we will have almost $3 billion in reserves for the state of Florida. And that's good in case we have another economic downturn, in case we have a huge hurricane, or any other kind of problem that would necessitate dipping into those reserves. Florida legislature, I think, has been very responsible in that regard. Our two legislative leaders, the Speaker and the President of the Senate, both insisted that we increase the number of dollars in our reserve account. So, again, the budget will be probably signed on Monday, and we'll have an understanding of, I don't know if any of the projects down here were on Tax Watch's turkey list. I guess some of you may have read about our president and his, our Senate president, and his response to the turkey list. He takes the position, and I do too, and I think Senator Simmons and Senator Hughes will back me up, that it's the responsibility of the Florida legislature to adopt the budget of the state of Florida. And we did it. I think we did it in a responsible way, and we now have it. It's in the hands of the governor for him to do. The one bill I got involved in, just on a personal basis, I got involved in a lot of things, was the Internet Cafe bill. You probably remember that early in the session. It actually passed midway through the session, where we really redefined what the laws of the state of Florida are in respect to gambling. And I think it was the responsible thing to do and the right thing to do. I think we have a more brighter line now to tell people what actually constitutes gambling and what doesn't. And that bill passed, obviously the governor signed it. And I think a lot of the illegal activities that were being done in Internet cafes have gone away. I think it's a good bill. I too will say something about the Speedway and Cheryl and the France family and everybody else. It was disappointing that legislation didn't pass. It was disappointing that our bill in the Senate didn't pass in the House. Not blaming any of my friends in the House, but it was a good bill. It created some economic incentives. It created clawbacks if those incentives weren't met. And it was a responsible piece of legislation that allowed any of the sports entities basically to submit applications and qualify for the tax exemption which they felt they deserved and could get. Hopefully we'll be able to readdress it next year, but we'll see. But it was a good piece of legislation, and as somebody alluded to, it got kind of gobbled up in some politics, I think, at the end of the session, regrettably. Dr. Lentz, we passed a couple of good tort reform bills this year. I know you'll be happy about, and doctors and business people all should be, because they deal with, I think, important topics of expert witnesses and those kinds of things that happen. So let me just close. I'll just say this again. I'm proud of our delegation. I'm proud to be a member of our delegation. As you know, I don't live here, but I live in St. Augustine. I did live here at one time, and so the Daytona area is near and dear to my heart. And I look forward to continuing next year to work on behalf of the delegation, work on behalf of you all. And I thank the Chamber for what you do. Your report that you do, the positions you take, and the advocacy that you provide to all of us when you come to Tallahassee, as well as before that, is very, very important to all of us in terms of how we look at the issues. And I appreciate, Jim, all the work you do in getting us that information. Thank you all very much.